So we're on.
Yep.
Jesse, you know
They were here for 3 solid days. They were here for 3 solid days. That's what they said.
Yeah.
They were here, $95 an hour, 142.
No, because when you introduce this, you get a first and a second. So we're just gonna open up the public hearing. Okay, yep, sounds good.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the November 3rd Town of Alexandria Board meeting. Everybody please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting to order. First item is we're having a public hearing at 5:45. This is on the budget, and it's also on all of the water and sewer districts. That was advertised in the paper. Do you have that advertisement?
I don't, but I can go run and grab it.
I was just gonna say if we could just read what it is. I think we can name the water and sewer funds, obviously, and all the funds. She'll have it in her advertisement. This is something different process that hasn't been done. We did it last year for the first time because we're required, according to our water and sewer ordinances, to have a public hearing for every water and sewer district, and
At least annual.
at least once a year. And we found a year or so ago that that's never been done before. We started the process last year, and we're continuing it. So this is, notice hereby given that the preliminary budget for the town of Alexandria and the preliminary budgets for the Redwood Water District, the Route 12 Water District, the Carnegie Bay Water District, the Otter Street Water District, and the Edgewood Water District, along with the Redwood Sewer District and the Route 12 Sewer District for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2022, has been completed and filed in the office of the town clerk, where it is available for inspection by any interested person Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Further notice is hereby given, the town board of said town will begin public hearings at 5:45 on November 3rd at the town of Alexandria Town Office Building on County Route 1, and at such hearing any person may be heard in favor of or against the preliminary budget as compiled or any items therein contained. Further notice is hereby given pursuant to section 113 of the town law that the following are proposed salaries of the town offices of the town of Alexandria. Supervisor, $24,689. Councilman, $3,301. Town Justice, $16,622. Town Clerk, $35,626. Highway Superintendent, $56,173. By order of the Town Board, Jesse Hudon, Town Clerk. So that's the official notice that was filed in a timely manner in the local newspaper. And at this point, I'm going to open the public hearing for the budget and for the special district, and anybody can speak. I think our process here and our thoughts are, we're going to open this public hearing. We're not going to close this public hearing tonight because we're going to adjourn this meeting till November 17th on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. At which time we will reconvene, and I think our plan is, if we don't have any issues or problems or more changes, that we hope to adopt the budget on November 17th. So at that point, I'm going to open the public hearing for any questions or anything from the public. Public hearing is open.
My questions are pertaining to the youth program.
So, in general C, under the expenditures, and I just wanna make sure that I'm understanding what this is for, there is a line that says, I'm assuming special rec facilities, ball fields for $10,000. Is that for the field here that we've been talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And then, few lines underneath that, it's got an expenditure of $7,200 for youth cans distribution. Just
Which item,
wondering
where?
what that is for.
When we collect the, you'll see above that we've got cans and bottles redemption.
Yep.
Those are the cans and bottles that are collected at the transfer site. And that's revenue that comes in, and we redistribute that out to the various, organizations that we give it to.
Okay, gotcha. So basically you're saying that, $8,000 is, you're expecting to come in, but then $7,200 is getting redistributed out.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause Town of Alexandria Youth gets to keep some of that.
Right.
So that's the difference.
Right, then, and this is not really on the budget, but the last couple of years, there has been a charge of $1,000 for the village pickleball, golf, tennis. And I just wanna know is that expected to stay into the contractual services line? Or is that going to, 'cause I don't see why that's really a youth thing. But yet here for this year, 2021, and I remember it from prior years, that's getting charged to the youth.
Isn't it for kids?
Yeah.
But the pickleball and the golf and the tennis is used by other people besides the youth.
But isn't that the fee, Nicole, that, we pay the village for them to have the right to use it?
Wasn't it, so many kids were using it, and you said you were going to donate
That was $1,000.
$1,000?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a donation.
Yeah.
That's, okay.
See, we give money so that the kids can play golf and do the tennis and do the pickleball. And this is for the kids that they have to live in the town of Alexandria. And that's the money that we've given, I wanna say, for the last 2 years. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
And we asked for a list from the village of the
Right.
kids, and I believe you got that list this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and the $1,000 seems quite a chunk, out of the youth budget. I mean, you and I talked, Fred, and we did drop the contractual down to 20,000.
Is that $1,000 coming out of the youth program?
Yeah.
I think that's a budget item that I'd like to see us look at. That, I don't, realistically, I don't think that, this is just my feelings, that should come out of the youth program.
That it should not.
Yeah.
Right.
In my eyes, it shouldn't.
Right, and
Where
that's
do you want it
kind
to
of
come out?
why,
What's that?
Where do you want it to come
We're
out?
gonna have to look at the budget and see where we can take it out of, in my
and that's
opinion.
kind of why I was bringing it up, because I didn't think that it should be a youth item either. I mean, our budget should go towards the items that are specifically supporting the youth program, the equipment and whatnot.
I mean, the youth budget is pretty much for the youth, the different activities and everything that we do. This is something that we've done so the local kids can play, so, I think that's something that we should look at.
Okay, great,
But
thank
this
you.
is something like an arrangement we have with the village. Don't we have something already in here that's, where we have an arrangement with the village, we give them a certain amount of money because the village is in the town kind of thing?
Yeah, but, not in relation, I don't think we do in relation to youth, do we?
No, I understand, but I'm just saying it'd probably be a more appropriate area.
Yeah.
Than the town.
Taking
youth
it out
budget.
of
Right,
that
right.
youth program budget.
That's why I'm just driving at, make more sense to be something
Yep.
like that.
Yep, I agree. So I think that's something that we should all look at,
Yeah.
and have you look at some line items and see
Right.
whether we have to go to the book and see where we can put that,
Okay.
okay?
Great, thank you. And then one other just question is, this was in general A, it looks like, there's $112,000 allocated for arena equipment, and I'm just curious as to what that is, if we're looking at
That's a
something
new
with money.
Zamboni.
Zamboni.
Oh, that's
It's a new
we're going to-
Zamboni, of
and
which
then
we
got
got
a grant, right?
We have a $100,000
Yeah.
grant for.
But it's one of those, you have to spend the money to get reimbursed the money, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah. They won't reimburse us for it until we buy the Zamboni and we have it.
Very good.
Because they want a canceled check, they want the whole deal.
And the thing is, Zambonis they're handmade, and there's a wicked backlog, so we're not gonna see it tomorrow.
I was gonna say, I called them and I think we had a estimated delivery of, was it 18 months? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
By then, it'll probably cost more.
yeah, and we haven't, but that price
Well, we
is,
have a contract with them,
yeah, that price is not that old, but, and we have not, got confirmation on that grant yet. We're very close to getting confirmation on that grant. We had another grant that was similar to that we did get confirmation on about 2 months ago, so we're thinking that this one is right behind it. Okay. Any other questions on the budget? So, at this point, we're gonna leave the public hearing open. We're gonna continue, our public hearing on November 17th at 6 o'clock. Okay, Jesse? Yeah. And like I said, we have some adjustments, we have some things we wanna look at, depending if there's any other questions or any other areas that we need to address. So, feel free to contact myself or Nicole if you have any other thoughts or have any other ideas. At this point, we'll move on, to the meeting. I need a motion to pay the bills.
I've looked at the bills, and I completely finished with them, but I mean, if I'm okay with them, I'll make a motion.
You make a motion?
Sure.
Need a second to pay the bills? Second by Sandy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None. Motion to approve the town board minutes. I talked to Jesse about that today. The minutes are very long. It was a long meeting, and how many pages of minutes?
It's a lot.
I think we need to table this till our next meeting and let everybody take a
Okay.
look at them.
Yep,
Because
that's fine.
there's 8 or 9 pages of minutes here. So, we'll table that. Number 1 on the agenda is we had set a public hearing to, override the tax cap. And, our tax rate is actually going down by 3.5 cents?
Almost 3.5 cents, yeah.
Almost 3.5 cents. So there's no need for us to override the tax cap and do the local law, so I just wanted everybody to know that we're not overriding the tax cap, and we're actually, the tax rate in the town of Alexandria is going down to 88.501 cents, and it was,
91,958.
yeah. So that's where we stand on that. Next item, Richard Carlisle, letter opener. A gentleman by the name of Richard Carlisle, who grew up in Alexandria Bay, sent us this letter opener that's a beautiful, handmade, wooden letter opener. On this 70th anniversary of my 70th anniversary residency at 24 Rock Street, July 1951, sharing a house owned by the shoemaker's sister that they were using as a rooming house for 3 college girls and a college man. He and I shared a hallway made up as a room with makeshift partitions and panels. I offer this letter opener appreciatively out of the proud was a player piano operated by foot pedals that provided joyful singing and interludes for us all. The girls worked as waitresses at the Edgewood and the restaurant that just reopened this year on James Street, being closed many years. My residency was so meaningful because it was my first experience luring and working independently after just finishing my first college year at Rutgers. I worked both for the Crosman House and the Monticello Hotels doing interior house painting, and then was hired by a company from Manhattan that had a contract to paint all the housing for the troops at Pine Camp, later to be named Fort Drum, Pine Camp. This was when the Korean War was underway, and my memory is still vivid of the lost lives of soldiers from Pine Camp dressed in khakis uniforms waiting to go on the tour boats. My roommate Sandy worked as a guide on one of the tour boats. The lines of khaki-clad troops extended from the dock more than 100 feet along James Street, the men waiting patiently, looking forward to a pleasant break from their rigorous training routines. After residency, only 1 month, as many memories remain vividly a part of my life, and my appreciation abounds, and so I offer this gift. I made it of black and white ebony, and hope it serves your office well. Its role of opening endless numbers of letters. All the best to you and to the uniquely vibrant community of Alexandria Bay. Sincerely yours, Richard Carlisle. So this is a very nice letter opener. We're going to use it here, and we're going to keep it here, and it's going to stay here in the Town of Alexandria office forever. I just wanted to read his letter because I had a conversation with him on the phone a week or so ago, and he was very appreciative that we were going to be able to use that. Policy on water sewer billing late fees. That's something that I've been talking to Nicole about, and I'd like to get together with a board member, and I'd like to establish a policy of what we do with water and sewer billing and what we do with late fees. And I've just talked with Nicole about it. We haven't figured out exactly what it's going to say and all that, but we just want to make sure that we have a policy on it and that everybody is charged and that nobody is forgiven unless it has to be a board decision in order to forgive. So that's what's going on there. Will's Record Junkyard Permit. This is an annual deal, right, Jesse?
Yes, it is.
Application for a license to operate an automobile junkyard business made pursuant to number 136 of the General Municipal Law to the Town Board. The undersigned hereby makes application for a license to conduct an automobile junkyard business and lands in the Town of Alexandria. Will's Record LLC, 24913 Allen Road, Lafargeville, New York. Said land is owned by Thomas P. Wells. Applicant is the sole owner of the business. Address is 45659 Olney Road, Redwood, New York. States previous experience of the applicant in conducting automobile junkyard business since 1992. The applicant has never been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor. Described fencing, screening, gate, locking devices surrounding junkyard. Lock gates, fence stretches across all road frontage of the property. The yard is adjacent to the public highway. A fence is at least 50 feet from the highway. Yes. In making this application, the applicant agrees that if granted the license applied for, they will conduct automobile junkyard in the manner provided in number 136 of the General Municipal Law, that he will not conduct the same after April next without paying for a renewal thereof, and he will not sell, assign, or transfer a license issued thereto and renewal thereof. License fee is $25, accompanies this application. Signed on October 26, 2021 by Thomas Wills. So I need a motion and a second to accept his application.
I'll make a motion to accept the application.
Motion by Sandy, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None. Town engineer report. Rob.
Don't have a lot to report since the last meeting, other than I did speak to the Army Corps of Engineers finally on the Goose Bay and the Goose Bay and the Swan Bay, basically improving the outlets of those bays. If you remember the Stu, I forget Stu's last name, with the, I think Stu was with the
Goose Bay
Group. He had some contact several years ago with the Army Corps of Engineers about potential funding in evaluating, the situation in Goose Bay, trying to open up an outlet, basically, that apparently was there at some time, and, trying to improve the aquatic habitat there. And then it went dormant for several years. He did give me the name of the contact at the Army Corps. His name is Brian. I spoke to him, and he indicated that program is still around. So what it does is it funds up to $100,000 in study and evaluation, okay? Because that's the first thing, as you can imagine, to open up an outlet in either of these bays, it's going to need to be evaluated environmentally pretty extensively. They aren't going to let you just dig an outlet. He said the program, it's out there. He said it's very competitive, and it would compete with other projects, you know, throughout the country. But he said that it's still there. He said back when Dale was supervisor, the town board did submit a letter. I'm not sure if any of you remember that, but he said that letter could be reissued from the town board to, it's basically a letter of interest, and we could do that for both Swan Bay and Goose Bay. Said there's absolutely no risk to the town at this point. What would happen is that it would go into the program competitively, and if you were selected, then the Army Corps would basically scope out a study on what it would cost, and then get back to you whether or not there was a town share at all, if it exceeded the $100,000. So I feel pretty confident there's no risk. It's not committing you to anything. So if you would like, I can draft those letters for Brent to submit for both Swan Bay and Goose Bay. He did also say that the environmental bill that's hung up in Washington right now, it may have some money to bolster these programs. He couldn't obviously guarantee that there would be more money, but there might be. So he certainly encouraged you to submit if you think you're interested.
So do you want to, does the board want him to pursue it and do a letter?
I don't think there's any.
We'll take a motion to do that.
Sure.
I'll make the motion.
Would it, especially the Swan Bay, would this have any kind of connection with that pipe thing that keeps? Correct.
What we need to also do is solicit support from Region 6 DEC. We have to get the DEC on board and also support whatever and I see no reason that they wouldn't want to support. This is an evaluation stage, you know. Just, for example, in Swan Bay, you know, certainly there's concerns with people in Swan Bay with the sediment deposition, the aquatic growth, you know, the low oxygen levels that result because of no flow through the Swan Bay. But on the other hand, there's concerns downstream with the people in Point Vivian. If we open that up, what's going to happen? Where's this sediment going? What's it going to do downstream? So the first part of this would be to do a full evaluation. The DEC would have to be on board with it, certainly. So I think the next step would be to set up a meeting with the Department of Environmental Conservation to see what they have to say, along with the letter that we submit to the Army Corps. But this first step is very preliminary study. It's little or no risk if you are able to get it funded.
At no cost to the town.
At no cost.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Sandy, did you say? And a second by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None. Anything else?
That's really all I have.
The Yellow House in Plessis, we're going there tomorrow.
We're gonna look at that tomorrow.
To take a look at that. I sent you the information on the year it was built. And we'll take a look at that tomorrow and see what we think about tearing that down.
Yep.
Is that road issue on 37 and Redwood, anything going with that?
Haven't heard anything back.
Nothing.
Resent the letter to the DOT again, I haven't heard anything back. I'm not sure if Mike, if you had a chance to reach
I have
out
not,
yet.
I gotta do that.
Yeah.
So this is the second time that we have sent the fourth time?
Third,
Third. This is the third time that we've sent the DOT a letter about the pipe going underneath 37, that we're worried about it being dangerous and the liability involved. We spent $11,000, give or take a little bit, to have the pipe filmed, examined, and have a report done on it. We sent all that information that we got to the DOT, correct? And we haven't heard a thing. And we sent the first one a couple years ago. So, there's a new person in that position now.
I'll tomorrow for sure, I'll get them a call.
and Ken Bibbins is
Yeah.
regional director.
Yep,
So,
yeah, I know him.
we just wanna dot our i's and cross our t's and cover ourselves in the event that something happens over there. I know the DOT is watching it. I know they put some fill in over there on the side of the road where
Right.
they felt it was sinking. And it's not a good situation.
Well, there's the big pipe that goes through there, but then there's a smaller corrugated metal pipe that goes underneath that building. And I believe it's kinda rotted out, and that's what's causing that sinkhole.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
whatever material they put into there just gets washed
Yeah.
out with whatever, whenever water goes through that pipe.
Yeah.
I sent that back on the 13th of October. I sent it earlier in the month, but I had the wrong email for Ken. I finally got the right email on the 13th. But I didn't get any response from him.
I will definitely call tomorrow.
And I also, I copied the maintenance engineer,
Matt Bush.
Matt Bush as well,
Yeah.
so he's aware of it.
This DOT works in interesting ways, like the Matt Bush in the maintenance section. I worked in multiple program areas, but they're at the end of the maintaining what's already there. But that's not really what the problem that we have with this situation. We have a setup that's not conducive to the area. It's causing actually some flooding in the springtime especially. And
Yeah.
it's not a maintenance issue, it's almost like a public safety issue that, and more than that, the whole situation that exists there was created to impound water for fire. Well, that's got replaced by municipal water with fire hydrants. That pond is not necessary anymore. So everything involved in creating that pond doesn't need to be there. And if it wasn't there, this flooding wouldn't happen.
Okay. Is that all you got, Rob?
That's all I've got.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Water report and a sewer report. They just sent them to me on my phone. Water report, daily and monthly testing, seasonal water turnoffs, replaced heaters at the water tower, checked the propane levels and heater at the pump stations. DPW report, all mowers are cleaned and put away, installed lock on the building at Hacks Field, helped Jay and Jerry, working with them. That's our water report. Our sewer report. Monthly report, 5 pumps changed since last meeting. Brownout on October 6th fried the flow meter. $2,000 to repair. Daily, weekly, monthly testing and reports have been done. Tilled the beds at the sewer plant, mowed the lawn, cleaned and stored the mowers, put jersey barrier at Hacks Field, gate to stop vandals from access, had DEC inspection October 5th. We passed with no violations, prepping the trucks for snow, helped out at the rink as needed, helped out in the water department as needed. That's the water and sewer report. Do we have an arena report?
Yep.
Do you
Okay.
want, before you go any further, do you want to read this letter on the water issue?
On the what?
On the water issue now from, Mr. Civilarity.
That's further on, number
Further on?
17.
Okay.
Number
Yep.
17.
Okay.
Okay, the rink report, from October 15th to October 31st, we've rented 58 hours of ice time and offered 9¼ hours of free public skating for a total of 67¼ hours of ice usage for the month of October. Groups that have used our arena in October are TI Youth Hockey, Alexandria Bay Figure Skating Club, Watertown Hockey Association, Lewis County Hockey Association, Power Play Sports, Canton Steel, Watertown Wolves, and Alexandria Central School. Both compressors are running good, as is the Zamboni. We had a conversation with Jerry about this morning. The compressors, there's like a large one and a smaller one. And when they first start making ice, you're running the big one and everything to get the temperatures down. And once you got the temperatures down, you got the ice where you need it to be, you drop down to only running the small one, which makes it much more energy efficient. And that's where we are right now. You have some stuff in the paper for advertisement on the boards and the building itself?
Came out in the paper today for,
Okay.
we have spaces on the boards, we have spaces on the signs on the top. And I put some advertisements in there with we put the pricing in there and we're looking for people to see if more people will advertise.
Okay.
I think Nicole's been working on the bills. Have they gone out? Yeah, the bills went out for the existing ones that are there.
Okay. I mean, because there's quite a bit of advertisement there, advertising potential, you know, it helps reduce costs, you know, a little revenue stream there. Jerry was telling us this morning too about, I don't know if you watch hockey on television, you know, NHL, they have actual stuff in the ice. And apparently Clayton, they're doing that as well. And you have to actually melt a section of the ice, put it in, then you know, the ice over it, but, that may, I don't know if anybody would be interested. We do, for, Ben Cole, do a thing for him in the ice as well. It's that situation there.
Similar to that.
Right, so I don't know if that's something, you know, advertisers might be interested in that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's another possibility.
Okay.
Can I ask who's doing the concession stand this year?
Oh, yeah.
in the arena?
You're gonna do something about the concession stand? We're looking to see if somebody will,
That's in the newspaper.
you know, lease it and operate it, run it.
We put it in the newspaper. I called Mike Gray from Clayton, who was involved in minor hockey. He told me that for 3 or 4 years, they paid $500 and ran the concession stand. They're not interested in it right now, so I put that in the ad that's in the paper, that was for rent. Okay? DPW report, Jay and Jamie already gave that, so we're all set there. Zoning report. I've got on here, I've talked to Norris and Rachel Clerk about this. I've got a lot of taxpayers calling about short-term rental regulations that they're interested in and feel that we need. What do you have for a report, Norris?
Okay. For the month of October, I gave out, we gave out 15 permits, making 145 year-to-date. We had 2 subdivisions, making 28 for the year so far. 1 variance was granted, and we also had one that was tabled till next month. There was no variances denied, no site plans, no special permits this last month. Violation letters, I sent out 7 of them, which included 3 stop work orders, 0 court cases and 0 court cases settled, and lot lines, we had none this year. I didn't issue any. We had 11 total so far. The income from the zoning, just give me a minute to get these papers apart. I took in October, I took in $1,410 for the month, or excuse me, $2,410.
Okay, thank you, Norris. Youth program report?
So because of all the kids getting quarantined, we are still on hold with our practices starting, but what we're looking at doing is starting the week after Thanksgiving. That'll give us about 3 weeks before Christmas, and then we would break, until mid-January or so, and then start up with our games. So as far as the basketball goes, right now, we're still on hold, but we are still collecting registrations. We probably have about 20 to 25 kids signed up. I would hope that as we get closer to January, and really starting with games, and we see what's going on with COVID, that we'll end up with more kids signing up. We did get an email from the school, and this is just kind of an FYI for the board in case you're in contact with anybody. They want only one point person. They don't want, as their point of contact. They don't want our coaches or parents or anybody else calling the, that would be Diane Bush and Terry Lowe, our liaison at the school. So they have requested that we only have one point person, which obviously would be Maria as our coordinator. The Redwood Fire Hall has denied us use of using the fire hall as a possible spot for practices. Apparently they had some issue with renters earlier this year, and so now they're not renting it out at all. That's what we've been told. But we can still use the Reformed Church for the smaller kids on Saturdays. Question on the shed here. I know we had talked about getting that foamed and insulated. Has there been any progress on doing that? The shed here, so that we
No.
can get that buttoned up for the winter?
We'll have to talk to Jamie and Jay and Jerry. That would be their deal. Has there been any, I don't think there's been any discussion about that, has there? So we're gonna pull everything out of there
We'll pull everything out.
and try to insulate it.
Right,
And-
which is, so what I would like to do ideally is have Maria on hand when that happens, because then she can look to see what we have and what could potentially go up to the hack field. There's an old ball pitching machine in the shed. I have no idea if it works or not, but something like that doesn't need to take up room in the shed here. That can go up now that we've got a lot on the hack field.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make sure that she is coordinating. She said she was trying to reach out to Jamie, and the number that she had, which is his number, she said it was coming through as disconnected. I don't know if anybody else has had any issues with his.
She came in and got the correct
Okay, so
number.
was it
Yeah,
a
we gave her all the
different
different numbers.
Okay. Yep. And as far as the Hacks Field, if we need access to that, like once we start putting some things in, are we contacting Jamie for access to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that, I'm not sure where they're at. They were looking to secure that entrance because we've had a lot of vandalism up there. And that was part of what was in their report, so I would definitely contact them.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, is that everything? Highway Superintendent report. I don't see one here on my phone. I just sent him a text to ask him if he has one, so if he gets back to me and has one, I'll say that. The next item is, number 13, is the ACS Booster Club. And they had requested to be part of the split of the monies that we get for the returnables that are given to the dump. And we asked them some questions and they got back to us. We're a nonprofit organization, 501c3, all our money goes right back to the sports program, 7th to 12th grades of Alexandria School after operational costs. We primarily make money through concession stands, fundraisers, can drives, game admissions, memberships, and donations. When the Booster Club was established as a 501c, the board members self-funded the startup. Please let me know if you have any other questions. There's the questions that we asked. Didn't we ask them about
We just were.
how many children are involved in the club?
Yep.
That's one of the things that,
And if they were funded at all through the school, which it sounds like they're not.
yeah.
Maybe they would like to run the concession
I was
stand.
thinking the same exact thing. We should reach out to them about running the concession stand, because they
Yeah.
obviously have probably got stuff left over from theirs from the fall season, and
Yep.
that might be perfect.
And one of the things that we started doing a few years ago, when we have the can and bottle money that we divide up it up proportionally according to the size of the nonprofit, by the size of the number of kids in it,
they have,
right?
yeah.
So I don't see an answer for how many kids they have in there, but, let's contact them about the concession stand, like you're saying, and let's,
Cause, you know, that'd be a revenue stream for them all by itself.
yeah, yeah. So, we'll look into that and see what we can find out there. That was there. 14 is the Tim Helmer report. Has anybody had a chance to take a look at his report? I've been through it pretty thoroughly. He's got some interesting pieces in there. He's got some things that are not relevant to us because they're pieces of property. For instance, he's got a proposal in there for the Jeanette property, and we no longer own the Jeanette property. That was sold at a tax sale, and that's back on the tax rolls, which is what we wanted to do that. So I'll ask everybody to take a look at that when they can and see if anything's in there you want to discuss. He put a lot of time into the paperwork that he submitted to us, and I thank him for that. Mike Tibbles, the roads in Redwood are done. He paved a couple streets. We're tearing down the trucks and getting them ready for winter. That's pretty much it. Any report from the Water and Sewer Committee? Sandy and Mike?
I mean, right now, I'm speaking for Sandy here, but, we went through all of the water, we're making a change on how the water, how you're gonna be billed. We explained that a couple different times, and everybody should've got a letter explaining what exactly that means. Now we're kind of, today we started on the sewer, with basically the same process. Hopefully we'll be faster with this one, but, you still run into stuff that's.
And you guys have been meeting every Monday or Wednesday for well over a year. Are you gonna continue on Mondays?
Well, when we do on Wednesdays.
Or Wednesday, I'm sorry, Wednesdays. And you're gonna continue? And what time does that start?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So we'd like to make sure that Gene and Sean Thomas, who I know is watching this meeting, are both welcome to come to those meetings. They do it every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and sometimes they're here for 4 hours, and sometimes they're here for 6 hours, but it's a long process, and they've got a lot of papers and a lot of things they put together, so feel welcome to attend, Gene.
Do I have a chance to ask a question on this, on the water billing? Is this the time, I got a question.
Sure.
Okay. No, I don't mind paying my fair share, maybe this isn't the time to do it, but I have a question, I have an issue with the water is probably 50, 60 foot across the road from my property, you know that, we've been over this. And I find it hard to pay nearly $500 a year for something I don't use and I don't want, because I got two powerful wells, and I got better water than you sell in the public. Why does a retired couple like ourselves, senior citizens, have to pay $100-some every 3 months for something that's not even on our land? We don't use an ounce of water, they never turn an ounce of dirt to put it in, and I don't want it. Why can't we pay a lower rate, or why legally do they bill us for something that we don't even use?
It's
Again,
it's our land, the pipes are on somebody else's property, we're not using your water, we're using ours, but you're just still billing us.
And we don't understand why personally.
Did you receive a bill this last month?
What's that?
Did you receive a bill this last month?
Yeah, I haven't paid a bill in 2 years, I have no intention of
We're
it.
not paying it because, to me, until I get a good straight answer legally why we have to pay anything, if we're not using it.
Wait, I don't know who you are.
I'm Brian Davis, I live up on Route 12.
Okay.
I live 2 miles out of the village on the right going towards 81.
Okay.
I've got almost 300 foot of road frontage and a highway
So
between me and
the simple explanation is you're in a water district.
I understand that. I don't mind paying something, but why do you gotta pay $117 or $120 every 3 months for nothing?
We're not in any water district, it's our water.
No, you're in a water district, you are. You're in a
But we
water.
never get a straight answer. What I'm saying, black and white, is that how can you legally bill some, okay, and then they say they can put it on our taxes if we don't pay it. Okay, now our taxes are paid in full, and that's not really a tax bill. Legally, how can they shove that down your throat?
Everybody's water bill is composed of basically 4 different.
And they're all different.
No, there's four portions of your water bill. One is if you actually are connected and using it.
Yep.
Okay, so, and you're not, so you don't get charged for water because you don't use water, okay? Then there's, O&M for maintaining the water, the leaks, those kind of things. And then there's, capital, how much the water district had to borrow to put all the infrastructure in for the water district. And then the fourth one is a reserve fund. So in your case, you don't use the water at all, so there's no usage. You're in the water district.
I'm in New York State, I pay tax, I'm in the town of Alexandria, I'm in Jefferson County, so what?
No, I'm just saying, I'm trying to explain to you how the bill came to be. You're in a water district, every single parcel in whatever district it happens to be.
I understand that.
can either access to it or not, it becomes a choice of the property owner. But it's like a mortgage payment on your house. Or a car, car insurance.
Mike, let me take over, because you don't realize who they are.
Okay, I do
Okay,
not, I do, yeah.
They are ones that probably 2 meetings ago at least, we realized that them and Tim Crean were both, they have no service.
Right.
What happens is...
Doug Brown doesn't either. He's right kitty corner to me, Bill, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm dealing with you guys right now.
Fine.
So when these water districts go in order to get the funding and the granting and the process that it goes through, and you may be able to help me out here with this, but they have to come up with an estimate of how many people are gonna be using it in order to make it affordable. I'll use Bonnie Castle Rec Center as an example. They've been getting charged 20 EDUs because they potentially was going to use a lot. They had a 6-inch line that was run up to the top of the thing, but they never hooked in. And to this day, closed, not a thing going on, they pay 20 EDUs per quarter. It's thousands of dollars per quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with the miniature golf course. Same thing with you guys. They expected that you were going to get in, so you were charged a full EDU. Because you're residential and all families get charged 1 EDU. Now, as we've been going through all of these things, and this is what we've been doing on these Monday and or Wednesday mornings, Jamie Papin is here working with us, and what's changing is the capital portion, because there are people who do not receive service. But they could if they wanted to. And what the comptroller's office told the town a couple years ago was that you can't bill people quarterly if they're not receiving a service, so it has to go to an annual. So everyone in the district, unless you absolutely are landlocked, an unbuildable lot or whatever, and for some reason there's no way you could get water, they won't pay anything. Everyone else that's within the district that can pay is going to pay a portion of the capital charge on their annual bill. Yes, you just received a water bill. The water bill that you received, if you looked at it, had no new charges on it. It has your previous charges, because as you stated, you haven't paid a water bill in years. So it has your previous ones with your late charges. But if you look, this last quarter, we did not bill you anything more. Because when we were working with Jamie, and we were coming up with our we call it a unit. It's no longer EDU. For capital, it's considered a unit charge. If a person or a family, a business, if they are hooked up, they are a 1.
Right.
If they have the potential to be hooked up, but are not, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're a half. If they don't have the potential to be hooked up at all, they're a 0. If they are a commercial entity that use a lot of water, then that Schedule A that was in the paper and came out, it goes
150,000.
1.5 million gallons plus, and it's increments of 200,000, and there's a schedule on that. Obviously, you guys don't fall into that. When we discovered that you guys had no laterals, you had no service whatsoever, we said, Davis's shouldn't be getting charged this. They are being charged wrong.
Well, last bill didn't look right, but I'll look at it.
So we did not bill you. We said, you know what, they paid for 2 quarters already this year. That would be equivalent to their annual amount, so we're not gonna bill them anymore. What you guys will receive now is the one-time capital charge on your tax bill in January.
And then what?
And then you will receive no more quarterly bills.
Cause you're not hooked up.
At all.
But you're, because you're in the district, you're,
Potential, but I don't want it, period.
right, no, and that's your choice.
This is at least more equitable than what we were told
That's all
originally.
that's all we're asking.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, I don't mind paying my fair share
Well,
of
that-
something.
well, that's-
I'm not gonna pay, I'd rather pay, everybody pays, whether taxes,
Right.
utilities, fuel, heating fuels, gasoline. We're retired on a fixed income. But I'd rather, I wanna spend my money, I wanna see something.
Well, no, and that's part of what we've been looking at for so hard, for such a long period of time, is trying to create a system that's fair
That's beautiful. That's good.
to bills properly, and that, I think we have come to that.
So if we take care of what we got now, then that's the end of it.
Till next January.
Will
And then it starts
if it's
again?
been re-levied, can they pay for it now?
I'm not talking about, I'm just saying, if and when I pay it, I said it,
Well,
and you can't do a thing to me if I don't.
see, the other thing too, because we've been working with the county, so when you get your taxes from the county, I don't know if you're in a lighting district or anything like that, there'll be a bunch of different lines.
Yep.
For different, you'll see a new line that'll say Route 12 Water District,
Fine.
where previously that didn't exist. So that's what that's gonna be.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, I do understand, but again, are we still in the future, say 2022, are we still gonna get billed something? Okay, that's what I want.
So, for this year, you got billed in March, and then in July.
Okay.
We realized there was an error, so we did not bill you again. You got those old bills, plus interest. But you didn't pay by October 24th or 28th, whatever the date was.
Definitely did it.
So
Did it.
that amount is now going to be re-levied on your taxes.
Okay, so let's say, again, whether 2022, 2026, I'm still breathing and alive, hopefully I am. Are we gonna get billed anymore at all?
You will get a one-time annual fee, which
It'd be
you know
one
what it is for.
bill, and what will that be?
75?
On your taxes.
On your taxes, I believe it's for your district, I believe it's $450, I believe it's right around $450. So you will get a one-time capital charge of $450 in January.
For the right to have you bring those pipes across my neighbor's road, that's wrong. $450, that's ridiculous.
Well, it is, it's terrible for someone.
Well, it won't matter, I'm already gone to the Attorney General, and I also gone to a senator.
We use
I
it,
want
we don't say much, but
Something different, because we're not the only ones. Everyone down the road is not very happy with you.
I'm just gonna, I usually don't say much, but this is the first time I've been to a meeting, I probably should come more and get more involved. But like I said, I just think the basic rate is awful for people that don't have any access to it, by choice. It'd be like me paying your taxes for you, and I don't live anywhere near you. That's how I feel. And I'm paying for water that's in an abandoned hayfield across. I taped it off, it's like 60 foot from my mailbox over to the pipeline. The fire hydrants are down the road and up the road.
We don't want anything of yours on our property,
Well,
nothing.
it's just because of, the chemicals. I don't care how clean it is. The water down here, I got 2 wells. One pumps 24 gallons a minute, the other one's full of water year round. I have great water and I don't want it, but that's just my personal feeling.
So if we're not happy with this $450 surcharge, I have no options.
We're gonna get billed that every year, right? Okay, so
That's bullshit.
that's
Sorry, but it is.
That's wrong. It wouldn't be, it'd be different if it was, like I said before, if it was less. Why, where do they come up with this out of the air fictitious number for somebody who doesn't use anything? Why couldn't it be a lesser payment? It wouldn't be so hard to absorb. Now, don't
What
tell me.
about the people who are seasonal route people who are not gonna use your water either? You're gonna charge them $450 for every trailer in Meadow Lane or in Healy's Park? They're not hooked up, they can't afford it, they're retired. We're going to lose residents, you're going to lose income for something that is not edible for people to eat. I can't drink your water, I have stage 4 cancer. My oncologist told me what you use to purify the water is not healthy for my being. So I'm not using any, I don't drink any water of Alex Bay, period.
I know people are on the road that their pets can't even drink the water. And I know people buy spring water to drink.
Something's wrong with that system, I'm sorry, but it is.
Well, anyways, that's just our.
The town doesn't, we purchase all the water from the
I know you
village.
do. I know you do, but you might purchase it, but it goes up the pipeline and people drink it.
I'm just saying, the town, we're in a water transportation business.
I know you buy it from the village.
I understand that. I also understand, we've talked to the people in New Orleans.
We're taxpayers.
We have a
right
man
to
who
voice
came
our-
and tried to explain all this to me.
Right.
It didn't make me happy. It certainly didn't solve my anger. And I don't see where we're going to get ahead of this.
It's not worth it.
$400 a year for the right to sit on my property and drink my spring water.
Yeah, that's what we're
no.
doing, we're paying you to drink my own well water.
That's not right.
That's how, am I wrong? Think about it.
Well, like you say,
So, if we're not happy with that, who's next on the food line after Brent? If I wanna go up to the governor, who do I get a hold of? Because I am not going to let this die, I am gonna continue.
It's a principle, that's all.
It's
No,
just an issue.
Well, if I could for a second, and I hate to do this, I'm gonna ask Rob to explain how water districts come into being.
Sure, so the district boundary is drawn, right? It includes the parcels within.
Mm-hmm.
And the parcels, whether you take the water or not, the system is set up so everybody within that boundary is benefited from that district, whether you drink the water or not, because, for example, you have the access to fire protection, right? You said there are hydrants up and down the road, so if your house was to burn, and that's a benefit. You have the ability to connect, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, okay? I'm just saying this is how the system is set up. You have the option at any time to connect to the water.
Well, that's still gonna cost you because they won't do that for you.
Yeah, well, it was part of the project, if you wanted to connect at the first, it would have been provided.
Right, but that's, what I want them to do it. That's just a closed area.
Typically, real estate values are higher if you're connected to a municipal.
It's all commercial land and roofs, all that.
I understand, I'm just saying that what the comptroller looks at and the state looks at is that if you're in a district and there's water there, that all properties are benefited. Therefore, when the town sets up the user charge system, they're required to charge, by law, they're required to charge all parcels within that district a benefit assessment charge, because they're benefits, so you have to share in the cost of the infrastructure with all your neighbors, okay? So you're all, because you all have a benefit.
I'm going on the basic.
I understand, I'm just telling you the way it's set up.
I wouldn't be so upset if it was less. Say it was $50 every 3 months or something you're doing, it's $75, it's just a principle.
I understand. And so you're willing to pay something, but just not what you're paying. That's an issue that, you gotta hammer out with the town board.
And there's no reason that can't be done for people like us.
Yeah.
Well, the money that people are taxed on, and believe me, we're taxed to death in this country. Everybody.
I understand.
And, a lot of the money, I see waste all the time, and I work in industry, and I work around, too much talk and end up doing.
Yeah, I understand.
It just doesn't seem to be an equitable solution, and I'm not talking just for us.
Actually, the township of Alexandria does nothing for us. absolutely nothing for us. The state takes care of the road beautiful. The
We
tax-
don't have sidewalks, you don't
I
pick
have
up our
lights,
garbage.
you don't pick up, yeah.
The only thing you do is you accept money for my tax on my animals, so
No, I mean,
I could live out in Bumscrew, Egypt and get the same exact benefit that I'm getting from what the town of Alexandria sends to me.
Town, I will have to say that the town of Alexandria is no different than any other town.
I understand that as
And
well.
they're following the rules that the state
Mandate,
that the
absolutely.
state requires, so.
That's why I've already gone and contacted people farther up the
Other than that,
saying,
we're taxpayers.
I want a different answer.
I vote, so I have the right to do what I do. I can complain.
Yeah.
That's why I vote.
So,
Anyway.
that's issue solved now.
All I said, that's good. Thank you very much for your help.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to, the Streetscape project, bid status. There was 3 bidders, I think I announced this at the last meeting, and the low bidder, about a week after the bids, withdrew his bid, for a reason that their software that they did the bidding with didn't, price their labor properly. That means we moved on to the bid number 2, and bid number 2 and 3 put us over our estimated cost and over our grant value. So, we were forced to review the bid and review the project, and we pulled the Bethune Street dock rehabilitation out of the project, which was a $27,000 item that was just taking the old wood off the dock and putting new wood on it. And we also pulled some benches out of the project because you're required to change it if you're going to put it out for rebid. So those are the couple things that we did, and I need a motion at tonight's meeting to put this out to rebid, and the bids will be due on December 7th at 10 a.m. here at the town office. That's where we stand. The paperwork's all been completed, and the engineering firm had conversations with the bidders, and they think that this will definitely help it so that we can come in under our grant number. The number that we came in at for the second bid would have meant that the town and the village had to come up with an additional $125,000 each, and we definitely don't want to do that. So we're going to go through the rebid process and have the bid opening on December 7th at 10 a.m. I need a motion by the board to allow us to do this rebid process.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mike,
A second.
second by Sandy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None. Fred Gilberti water heater issue. 17. Mr. Gilberti writes, I was out of town for a couple of weeks before and after Labor Day. When I returned, I heard the sound of rushing water in my basement. Upon further investigation, I found that my hot water heater had ruptured, putting water into my cellar. Immediately turned the water off and dealt with the problem pumping the basement and replacing the hot water heater. In the course of the next few days, while speaking to my neighbor, they told me that they are having low pressure problems at my neighbors. They called the water department, and an employee came out and turned the pressure up to address the problem. I'm thinking that this may have added to the demise of my water heater. Having said that, this should know that the house is empty from November till April every year. I do stay current on my bills even though no water use at my home during this period. I live in my son's house, Hunter Gilberti, at 43534 Route 37 Redwood, and I'm responsible for the bills. I'm a disabled veteran looking for some help on this large bill. Thank you for taking the time to read this concern. How many gallons, and what was the bill?
I think Jamie said something about 77,000.
77,000 gallons.
A lot.
Or $200 and some odd dollar bill, right?
His consumption was $334.
Was $334.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Jamie came in and Jay did too, and they did not turn the pressure up. What did he explain that they?
Yeah, I don't know what, with it, you know, without.
But they don't have the capability to turn the pressure up at one house.
Right.
They might have gone into that one homeowner's home, we all have pressure reducing valves
Yeah.
after our meter.
Right.
That control our in-home pressure, they might have adjusted that for that homeowner, wouldn't have affected.
Yeah,
We had
that's
a-
what happened.
I don't know, we had a long conversation with Jamie, and he did not say he had done that.
But I don't think he went into this guy's home.
No, the neighbor that had.
He went into the neighbor's home.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have anything to do with it.
That would have
Right.
nothing to do with the next door neighbor's house, each home has their own pressure reducing valve.
So if he had to do something with a pressure valve that was at the neighbor's house,
That
it
would-
wouldn't affect the pressure at this guy's house.
Right, it would have only affected the neighbor's
Right,
house.
that's what Jamie said, yeah.
Yep.
So, what does everybody think? We have to make a motion as far as what we're gonna do here?
Anything from the curb stop in, and if people don't like to hear this, it belongs to them. I mean, that's where the water district responsibility
what it
ends
says
to the
in the
property owner.
ordinance.
So when this person's water heater, in this case, breaks and a whole bunch of water goes through it, not to use, this is a good example of, you know, the town having to, we actually, as the administrators to these districts, if we did what they would like to do, and make their bill smaller, this water we still had this district bought water from the village of Alexandria Bay. If their bill went down, everybody else in the district would have to pick up the pace. And it'll go south real quick if you do that. I feel bad for him, you know, I can say myself, I've had two water heaters do the exact same thing. It is what it is, you know.
Well, somebody should explain to them that because he turned the pressure up and the neighbors had nothing to do with him. So that's not what burst the hot water heater.
Yeah. Well, as Gene said, and as Jamie said, the same thing is that what they did at the house next door does not affect this gentleman's house. So, okay, well, we'll explain that to them and tell them that, we can't change anything. I don't think we need a resolution to do that. It is what it is.
It is.
Okay? I just wanted to announce that this is gonna change our meetings. I don't know if everybody saw this about 2 weeks ago, but our new governor has enacted a new law, legislation S.115O-A/A/1228-A, requires the documents to be discussed at open meetings to be made available at least 24 hours prior to the meeting. So that means anything on the agenda that has any documents tied to it, like papers that we all have here in front of us that pertain to some of the items on the agenda, we have to make those available to the public, which the best way to make those available to the public is for us to post them on our website. And that's something that we're gonna start working on. This was just passed, and it's something that we have to follow the letter of the law. That's where we're at.
Now, will that, I haven't read what this is, other than just seeing it right here now. Does that have anything to do with like our Wednesday morning meetings? Are we supposed to be?
No, it's all about public meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about board meetings. I watched the governor when she announced this, and it was talk about it, and it was through the open meetings, the FOIL people, that's what it's all about. It's to do with board meetings.
We don't really have documents, we basically take information and kind of.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about, for instance, this one we just did, and we have Mr. Gilberti's letter, that we're gonna have to publish this letter, on our website. We have the application for the junkyard from Will's Service. We're gonna have to publish that on our website. Every
Is
single
there any-
thing.
Wait a
is there-
second.
Isn't there information?
Is there any information on something like that that would need to be redacted?
Well, there might be.
Well, how would we do this? The next thing you know, this website's just gonna be just covered with stuff. I mean, how would you do this?
We're in New York understanding.
I mean, I'm just saying, would we have like little folders that you went into? I mean, otherwise it'd be like page after page after page, you know, people would just get lost trying to find stuff.
Well, so right now, we put our agenda on our website.
Right.
Okay. I think that with our agenda, we're gonna have to put the documents that are tied to the agenda.
Okay.
So tied to the item number that they're on the agenda is what it is.
Okay, that's an orderly way, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that would make sense.
That's what I would say would make the most sense to do it that way. So, so number 19 is adjourn the meeting till November 17th to adopt the budget. We're gonna adjourn it to 6 o'clock on November 17th, Wednesday. I need a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting until November 17th.
I'll second the motion by Sandy, second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Now I need a motion to go into executive session for contract negotiations and legal matters.
I'll make the motion.
You've gone to executive session first, and then it's during the meeting after you come out.
That we should have.
Done that last?
Yeah.
Should it be?
Just acknowledging the fact that you're going to do a continuation, so if you come on as executive and, you know, have
Yeah.
something to talk about, then.
Okay. Yeah.
Give it back to me.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll move the rules, like,
Motion for executive session by
Me.
Sandy, second
by John, I thought.
by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, none. Thank you.
Brent, turn your thing off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Brett,
Things off.
go, because turn the sound off.
Yeah, thank you. Same thing. You didn't have to stay the whole time.
That's okay. I gotta build up my time.